gluten-free grains can be better, but not all the time. I remember when I first got sick, I found that quinoa would actually really bloat me up and make me feel absolutely horrible.
Hey, I'm Trav. Back in 2010, I got hit hard with chronic fatigue syndrome, only 6 months after starting my new personal training business. I've spent the last 8 years researching and experimenting with my body to help get back to my best and beyond. I'm now sharing my story and my strategies with you so you can get back to living the life you love.
What's up? It's Trav here, holistic health and lifestyle coach, helping you to make your comeback. Today I am talking about foods that may make your chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia worse. Now this is important because you want more energy, so you should eat foods that are energy giving and stop eating the foods that are energy taking. So here are 13 foods that may make you feel worse. Number 13 is very important, so make sure you stay tuned right through to the end of the video. Number 1, sugar. Okay, it's not really a food, but it is something that is in a whole load of different foods, and it is quite often something that is feeding the illness, feeding whatever bug might be in your system. Sugar feeds cancer, sugar feeds parasites and bacteria and candida, so many different things, but it also just zaps your energy. So try and limit your sugar as much as humanly possible. Number 2, alcohol. Alcohol is reactive in a lot of people. So if you think about grain alcohols, if you have a grain allergy, alcohol obviously can make you feel worse with that. It can be something that just zaps your energy straight up. So some people, their liver is so blocked up and so toxic that they can't actually process it properly. So if you go out and have a few too many drinks, you might feel destroyed for multiple days, not just the next morning or what have you. So number 3, grains, especially gluten-free grains. So grains, especially wheat, so processed, it's changed so much over the years, reacts with a whole load of people. Gluten-free grains can be better, but not all the time. I remember when I first got sick, I found that quinoa would actually really bloat me up and make me feel absolutely horrible. So don't just assume that gluten-free grains are all going to be better. You may find that gluten-free grains, some of them are good, some of them are bad. You might find that the regular grains, some of them are good and some of them are bad. Again, if you go organic, you might have a better chance of finding one that doesn't react so bad with your body. Number 4, dairy. Dairy, very problematic in a lot of people. We don't all tolerate dairy very well. In fact, a lot of us can't tolerate it at all. And the quality of dairy over the years has gone down so much that it really isn't what comes from the animal anymore. So be very cautious with dairy. One thing I will say though is you may be better off with goat's cheese. Goat's milk seems to be less reactive with a lot of people. I also find that grass-fed organic butter seems to be not too reactive with a lot of people. Something to be aware of if you want to still keep some good fats in your diet. Number 5, nightshade vegetables. Nightshades, I'm talking about eggplant, tomato, capsicum, chilies, those sorts of things. These nightshade vegetables seem to be something that can react really poorly with people, as in, giving you those inflammatory responses. I know this was the case with me. I cut them out for a substantial period of time, and that was after eating them on an almost daily basis for many, many years. So be very cautious with nightshade vegetables. If they are something that you suspect reacts, might be worth cutting them out for a little while, introducing them, and seeing if they are going to cause that reaction straight away. Alright, number 6, soy. Soy is super high processed. A lot of the time you'll find that soy can react with people very poorly. Some people can tolerate it and some people cannot, but it is something to be aware of. So if you are looking at the ingredients of your foods and you know that soy is a problem, then you just want to make sure you're checking labels. Alright, this is something that is very important for anyone who is sick, is knowing what you're eating. You can't just blindly go and pick out whatever foods anymore. You need to know, so make sure you're reading the labels. Again, if soy is not a good one for you, then might be worth cutting it out. If you're unsure about any of these things, an elimination diet is a great place to start, to be able to cut these things out for a short period of time, slowly reintroduce them and see what causes issues and what doesn't seem to cause issues with you. Pork products, bacon especially, highly processed, a lot of stuff in there, seems very reactive with a lot of people. Even pork in general can be problematic. It really depends on the individual, but it pays to test this in yourself. So I know that when I eat bacon I feel worse, and I like it. This is the thing, I like bacon, I like it, but too much of it, too common or too often really is going to make me feel so much more sluggish. I feel like I'm kind of sensitive to the toxicity, so I feel that come through my body, and just like, ugh, even just as soon as I eat it I feel run down. Something to be aware of. Eggs, which is really sad, especially because I've just mentioned bacon and eggs, they go together so well, but eggs can be problematic with people. If you are eating eggs, grass-fed, free-range, organic eggs are really what you want to be going for. If you are getting the cheaper eggs, you might not be able to tolerate them so well, and you may just have a allergic reaction or just not tolerate eggs. They might cause inflammation, pain, what have you. If they do, that's something that's worth cutting out. Fruit is great for you, but not always great for you. And sometimes a small amount is good, and sometimes it isn't good. Sometimes you have to go to zero. I have done this before at certain times. Some fruits are better than others in terms of how they react with the body. So be very careful about what fruits you eat and noticing what effect they have on you. So some potentially problematic ones are your stone fruits, grapes. You may have issues with citrus foods, you may not. Most people seem to do quite well with berries, and cherries fit into that same category as well. They seem to do quite well on green apples. Other apples, yeah, maybe it depends at times. It really depends on where your digestive system is at, as how well your body will tolerate fruits and how much of that fruit you can actually tolerate to keep your energy up. Starch I'm throwing in there in general. So I already mentioned grains. Grains are starch containing, but starch could also include your potatoes, sweet potato, that sort of thing. Now, some people can tolerate this well, and some people it's really going to be really bad, or almost addictive at times. So you may need to cut out potato or sweet potato for a certain amount of time. You might find that you have to cut out your white potatoes, but sweet potatoes are okay. Again, elimination diet is really the best way to figure this out. And remember that cutting certain foods out is not a lifetime thing. It might just be a temporary thing while your digestive system recovers. This is very important to know and is worth spending the time investigating. Nuts and seeds. Nuts and seeds can be problematic. I'm not blanketing them out, because you might find that you do great with cashews and almonds, but pistachios are particularly problematic, or peanuts are problematic. Well, peanuts are actually a legume. We'll talk about them next. Yeah, certain nuts will possibly work better than others with you, so just be aware. There are a lot of people with nut allergies these days, so that is something to be aware of too. Again, another great reason to read your labels. Seeds, same thing applies. Some seeds will be better than others. With my recovery, I would be eating seeds. Chia was one of those things that was like, oh, look at this superfood, this is really good for you. You can get a lot of energy from this and feel a whole lot better. I ate chia, blow up, instant pain, instant bloating, felt horrible, haven't had chia since. So be aware that certain things can affect different people in different ways. If your digestive system is run down, who knows what it's going to like and not like. You have to investigate for yourself. There's no clear-cut answer until you do the self-experimentation. Legumes such as beans. It could be like your baked beans you're getting. It could be black beans, red kidney beans, split peas, that sort of thing fit into the legumes category, as do peanuts, which I mentioned earlier. Now, these things really need to be soaked and sprouted to be able to be broken down by the body efficiently. And even then, the body doesn't necessarily want to deal with that when the digestive system is really run down. So that is something to experiment with, and you might find that there are certain legumes that work with your body and certain ones that do not work with your body. Again, this is why an elimination diet is so important. Right, on to number 13, which I said is super important, and that is animal proteins. Now, there's not necessarily anything wrong with animal proteins. I actually find that they seem to be one that work well for a lot of people. Preferably high quality if you can get them. Like I said before, organic, wild caught, or grass-fed is really where you want to be. But when your digestive system is run down, it can be really hard to break down these proteins. So digestive enzymes is a really good idea here to help break those animal proteins down. As I've mentioned before, 30 minutes before, during, or after, anywhere in that window of 30 minutes before to 30 minutes after, is really a good idea to take some just to be able to help your digestive system break down the foods and get some nutrition from there. Otherwise, you may be eating these animal proteins, not digesting them, and finding that they actually take so much energy from the body to break down or to push through, or they might be putrefying as they go through your digestive system because they're not broken down properly and zapping your energy that way. So, very important to look at. And that's why you need to go through all these foods. See what makes you feel better, see what makes you feel worse, identify them. If you can do that for the next month, then you'll know what foods really work well for you and really what foods don't work well for you. I mean, you want to feel better, so why eat something that makes you feel worse? It's self-sabotage at its best. So, my challenge to you, next month, choose those foods that make you feel good. Try and cut out those ones that make you feel bad. It is very difficult. Go one at a time is really the best way to do it, because cutting too many things out at one time is very stressful for the brain, and it's hard to find alternatives of what to eat. You might get completely overwhelmed with, oh, the meals that I used to eat for dinner, I can no longer eat anymore. The meals that I used to eat for lunch, I can't have them anymore. I don't know what to eat. It's all too hard. And you go back to your old habits. So, progress slowly with this. It may take you 6 months or 12 months to really change your diet and overhaul. Switch one thing out, switch a good thing in. Switch something out, switch something better in. Switch it out, switch it in. Get old recipes switched with new recipes and work your way through it that way. It is not easy, but it is absolutely worth it, because I want you feeling your best, and I'm sure you do too. Best of luck. If you like this and you want more tips like this, you can grab your free cheat sheet from conquerchronicfatigue.com. The link is in the description. You will get answers to the most common questions that I have been asked on how to recover from chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. Now, this took me years to put together. Tons of research, over $150,000 spent in my own recovery and research courses, all sorts of things to find the answers to these questions. I'm going to give them to you for free because I want to help you get back to your best. So, go make your comeback, and we'll talk again soon.